Hello freaks, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is JJ and I talk about concept albums. And today I'm talking about GWAR because last week I did a video talking about bands that are criminally underrated and GWAR is absolutely one of them. So I figured I'd spend some time doing a video here and there talking about a couple of GWAR's concept albums. So yeah, I'll be covering Beyond Hell, which came out in 2006 and basically follows the group that is GWAR and their journey through hell. So if you don't know, there's kind of like a little bit of background maybe you should know before diving into this video. If you're not very familiar with GWAR and their whole concept and their whole thing that they got going on, basically their lore is that they are a group of aliens who were banished from their home planet of Scumdogia, and then they came to Earth while the planet was still overrun by apes before they became humans. They copulated with the apes, and that is how humans were created. And then GWAR was kind of frozen during the Ice Age, but then they were kind of thawed out during the 80s. And that is when they were found by Sleazy P. Martini, who discovered their talents and turned them into a rock band. So that's kind of the shortened, abridged version of the GWAR background lore. And there's a couple characters you should probably know for this story. First we have Odorous Urungus. Rest in peace, Dave Rocky, who was the human slave of Odorous Urungus. Basically, Odorous is he's the lead guy. He's the vocals, and he loves just killing and fucking everyone, I guess. Then we have Ballsack, Jaws of Death. He plays guitar, and he's kind of seen as like the smart-ish one. Next up we have Beefcake the Mighty, who is the bass player, and he's just kind of known for always eating all the time. Then we have Jizmac Dagusha, and he plays drums, and he also has ADHD. Then we have Pustulus Maximus. He plays guitar, and he's in constant pain. And then we have Bone Snapper, which is the cave troll, who is kind of their bodyguard, and he's sort of known as like the dumb one. And last but not least, we have Sleazy P. Martini, who I already mentioned, and he is the manager for GWAR, and he's also their drug supplier as well. So now that you got kind of the background story and you know a little bit about some of the characters, let's dive into the story for Beyond Hell. So track 1, Beyond Hell, is just kind of like their intro track, and this is where we kind of just set the scene for what's going to happen. And we have the members of GWAR just kind of sleeping off probably another like drunken night, and so they're in their lair in Antarctica where they live, and while they're sleeping, the Nazi Pope sends in his army to go attack them while they're sleeping. Next up we have track 2, War is All We Know. So the Nazi Pope's army descends and infiltrates GWAR's lair, and then the GWAR wakes up and they jump into battle against the hordes of the Nazi Pope's army. So the members of GWAR then begin slaughtering and decimating their enemies like they usually do, and things are looking up for them. They really enjoy killing, so this is a fun time for them. But right when they think they're winning, a giant bomb, or I guess a nuke, goes off and it just destroys their fortress. And so the tide of battle turns, and now GWAR is forced to retreat. Track 3, Murder's Muse. So here, GWAR is defeated, and they are forced to kind of go underground beneath their fortress and sort of lick their wounds and kind of mourn their loss. It's a pretty harsh kick to their ego for having lost. And so at the end of the song, they kind of meet this other character, and his name is Jitler. And as you may guess from the name, he is a kind of Voldemort version of Hitler and Jesus. And Jitler is both Hitler and Jesus joined at the ass, which is pretty funny. Then we get to track 4, Go to Hell. So here in this track, we have GWAR, and because their egos are bruised from losing the battle against the Nazi Pope, the group kind of seeks to, I guess, reclaim some of their statuses like almighty destroyers. And so Jitler kind of explains that he can lead the troop down to hell where they can confront Satan. And so the group decides that, hey, that sounds like a fun plan. Hell seems like a great place to go. And so they follow Jitler down into like the cavernous depths beneath their lair. And they decide that their goal is to travel all the way through hell, find this dude named Satan, and basically kick his ass. So that takes us to track number 5, I Love the Pigs. And so here GWAR reaches the gates of hell. And it is here that they find the gates of hell are kind of guarded by these beings that are kind of these chimera monsters that take the form of like a hog/man/dog. And then we find that these kind of like pig monsters are the souls of dirty cops who used to, use their power to murder and rape and pretty much do as they please without consequence. So here they are in hell, basically doing the same thing they did while they are on Earth. And so GWAR challenges the pigs, and they easily defeat them, and then they waltz their way into hell. Then in track 6, Tormentor, GWAR gets past the gates, and there they meet their first adversary within hell, and that is the Tormentor. So in my opinion, I think the Tormentor kind of represents war, and he's sort of like an amalgam of all like the corrupt kings and leaders and, you know, their petty wars and everything. And so all that evilness has kind of been rolled into one single beast called the Tormentor. From there, GWAR charges in and basically turns the Tormentor into a slopping pile of carnage like they always do. Track 7, 8th Lock. So GWAR travels farther and farther into hell, and then they finally reach the 8th Lock, which is a reference to the 8th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno, which is basically this cavernous labyrinth made inside hell that contains the demons of hell. And so GWAR arrives in this kind of maze prison, and they find themselves locked into prison cells. But that's not really any problem for GWAR because they're used to getting out of terrible situations. So they pretty much just escape, and they leave a pile of demons in their wake as they travel closer to the center of hell. Track 8, Destroyed. So their next adversary comes in the form of like this washed up, drugged out rock star demon named Toe Enamel, and GWAR basically takes on this monstrous form of rock star and probably tricks him with either booze or drugs or something and then kills him. Next up we have track 9, the Ultimate Bohab. So if you don't know, if you're not familiar, a Bohab is basically the name for GWAR fans. They're called Bohabs, and I think the term is intended as an insult, but GWAR fans have definitely embraced it as, you know, just the name for themselves. So next up, the band meets their biggest fan. He has he is the ultimate Bohab, and he has committed suicide just so he can meet GWAR in hell. And you know, if you want to know what happened, what this character's backstory is, you can just listen to the song. I'm not going to repeat it here because I will probably get flagged for inappropriate something. Basically, GWAR pretty much just disembowels this Bohab, and then they go on their merry way. Track 10, the one that will not be named. So GWAR finally reaches the center of hell, where they kick in the door for Satan's lair, and from there they barge in and they find this creature named Jucifer, which, if you could guess from the name, is basically Jewish Lucifer, and he's sort of this also monster-looking character as well. And so they decide to duke it out with this strange incarnation of Satan. But eventually, once the battle gets pretty intense, they call in GWAR, which is their pet T-Rex, who ends up biting off the head of Jucifer and killing him. So that is how they are able to defeat the one and only Jucifer. And then we have track 11, Back in Crack. And so GWAR now finds themselves as pretty much the conquerors of hell. You know, they've succeeded in their quest, but they've quickly gotten pretty bored with hell, and you know, they decide to return to their broken fortress in Antarctica. And so here they come to the conclusion that their journey was pretty pointless, but you know, at least they had some good times. And so as a gift to celebrate their return, Sleazy P. Martini brings them a 9-ton boulder of crack, and they pretty much waste no time in breaking into it. So, then there's one final track, track 12, which is a cover of School's Out, which, how I imagine, is just kind of, you know, GWAR partying it up with all the crack that they scored from Sleazy. So yeah, that's how I see that track going, even though it seems more like a bonus track. But yeah, that is basically it for, the story for Beyond Hell. So yeah, a kind of short, easy, simple video for you guys. I recently went and saw GWAR not too long ago for the first time, and it was absolutely incredible. If you get the chance, go see them as many times as you can, because they are just, like, it's just an incredible experience live. And this battle vest was not always pink, but it definitely is now. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to cover more GWAR stuff. They have a few other concept albums, and they also have some comic books as well that I have, and I would love to talk more about this band. So, let me know what you think of this concept. Let me know any other interpretations you've had, or if you were able to see GWAR during their Beyond Hell tour, and if you were able to experience, you know, the live stage antics that they had for each of these songs. Please drop all that down in the comments. If you want to support what I do here, make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already, and then click the bell if you want to get notified when I put out other content such as this. Also, feel free to join my metalhead community down in the description, and thanks so much for watching, guys. Till next time.